Hello, everybody. My name is GPKISM, and I just got through watching a live stream by Blaire White, and I thought it was amazing and it was wonderful. She really opened up and really talked about, what she was going through, and I thought she brought up like lots of interesting points, and it does leave me wondering, like who's real and like who's fake. Like she talked about like how she met like so many people on YouTube who says like one thing on YouTube, but then like they would have the opposite views in real life. They're like, oh, people you love, people you care about, people that you act like an fan over. I mean, Blaire White didn't actually say that, but I do notice that there are people who love to white knights for senpai, where if you like disagree with a major like anti-feminist figure, you have people who want to dogpile you and white knight for senpai rather than listening to your points. And it's like, okay, now because they come across as unhinged and crazy. So it was interesting, like for Blaire White to go, like, like there would be people who would say, like, like they're for gay rights, like on camera, but when the camera is something like actually I'm against gay rights, they would, they are duplicitous, they're two-faced, and they're fake, So it's interesting, for Blaire White to talk about all the fake people she met, and or all the people like she like implied were fake. Like she didn't name names. She did name names, but it's kind of like people on chats were like. People were like Dave Rubin, like it's Dave Rubin, and Blaire White, she's like, hey, I'm not saying anything, but if you have to ask, and it's just like, you really have to ask if Milo Yiannopoulos is fake. You really have to ask whether he's real or fake. Shouldn't it be like obvious? Because people do get really, really protective over senpai, like where it's kind of like, don't you dare. I mean, to me it's like one of the biggest and most annoying problems with the anti community, because it makes it hard to have any discussion. You can't really discuss anything when people want to white knights for senpai, where senpai is above criticism. Don't you ever think of questioning senpai, and it gets really annoying, and they don't know this, but they just seem really crazy. And she brought up like other good points or interesting points, which I do think is interesting because I think it affects us as a YouTube community. Where she says, what did she say? She talks about how she would go to Shane's channel or Jacqueline and Glenn's channel or Eda's channel, and she would say like how people would leave her all kinds of negative comments and how it would get to her. Like it's like, oh yeah, like I'll get all of these negative comments and it'll actually get to me. And I do think it's interesting because I do think it's the reason why YouTube's policies are the way it is. Because, the amounts of hell she went through, like how bad it is and how people were empathizing, like, yeah, Blaire, that's really bad. That's really terrible. We could empathize with how you feel. What the feminist community would have been going through, I would say it's like that, but times 10. Like you start a YouTube channel, you probably have a, what's it called, like speech frights or stage frights, because 76 of Americans experience stage frights. Chris Reagan mentioned that when talking about Francesca Ramsey, where Francesca Ramsey was making fun of an anti-feminist. He was stuttering, and Francesca Ramsey was making fun of his stutter. And Christopher Gunn was like, well, 76% of Americans have stage frights. And that is true for the feminist community as well. They would go and they would just try to express their feelings, their emotions. They're like, oh yeah, so like feminism, and feminism is like this, and feminism is like that. And they would go online and they would get they'll get like 2,000 downvotes, and they would only have like 3 likes, and they would have a bunch of comments on their page, not somebody else's page, but their page, telling them to like go kill themselves, Because I talk to feminists, and I'm not a feminist, I'm not a progressive, I just talk to them, and they would complain about this. They would just complain because like with Blaire White, what she was talking about, it would be on Shane's page, where she would actually have to go to Shane's page to see it, or Eden's page to see it, or Jacqueline Glenn's to see it. As long as she doesn't visit their pages or read through the comments, she wants to see anything. But when it comes to the feminist community, because, it's like somebody, a big anti-feminist channel would make a video mocking them and ridiculing them, when they come on YouTube the exact same reason anti-feminists first show on YouTube. They just want to discuss their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions, and their attitude towards things. So for them, it would be like a surprise, a negative surprise, but a surprise, and they would have, like stage frights, and they would be like nervous, they would be like clearly nervous, they would be like shaking and whatnot, and they would be like expressing their opinions, and the next thing you know, it's like 2,500 dislikes, and like a bunch of comments telling them to go kill themselves. And then at the time, it was like 2004, 2015, whatever. It was some time ago, but it was like widespread, like, well, you probably written those death threats to yourself. And it's kind of, come on. Do you actually believe that? Come now. Do you actually think that like a person, like an anti-feminist would make a video demonizing a feminist, and the person is left like, hundreds of comments saying, like some of those comments were like sociopathic. Like some of those comments were actually disturbing. Like, like eventually it reached a point where like Bearing fans would argue with other Bearing fans. Like there would be like the good Bearing fans arguing with the, I don't know, MGTOW Bearing fans. There were a lot like, oh my goodness, like you sound like a sociopath, because like some of those things, it gets like really murderous. Like it like gets like really, really murderous, where a person just seems like a psychopath and that they need to seek mental help immediately. Like they really seem like they need to see a psychiatrist, because they would say some really disturbing things. And I remember back at the time, like you must have written yourself death threats, and I think things like that is what leads to YouTube's rules being the way it was, like when YouTube added those anti-bullying rules, anti-harassment rules, and they were like making rules like that, because it is like cause and effect. Even if you don't specifically tell your fans to, attack them, it's kind of like if a woman falsely accuses a man of rape, if a woman's like, he raped me, and he goes to jail, at no point of time did she say, hey, I think he should go to jail. She didn't have to, She didn't have to say, all she has to do is say, he raped me. She doesn't have to say, I believe he should go to jail, or I believe his reputation should be ruined. It's like dominoes. It's a domino effect. It's like all she did is falsely accused of rape, and the police goes after him, even though he's innocent. And at no point did she go, I think he should, I think the police should go after him. But it is a consequence of her going, he raped me. And it's kind of like how, anti-feminists could put two and two together, where it's kind of like a woman could go, he raped me. And it's like, oh my goodness, his reputation is ruined. Even though she didn't never go, I believe his reputation should be ruined, or I didn't tell everybody to hate him, but it's a consequence. Well, that's exactly what happens when feminists get mocked and ridiculed. You may not have been, you may not give your fans instructions to leave somebody downvotes or harass the other person, but it does flow as a consequence. That's usually the reason why when Saturday Night Live makes fun of celebrities, they often invite the celebrity to their channel so that they could show them having a fun time with the celebrity. So they're like, for example, Saturday Night Live may make fun of Jim Carrey, but then they're like, okay, Jim Carrey, why don't you come to Saturday Night Live, and let's show the world us having fun together. Let's show the world of us having a good time, so that we show the world that there's no bad blood between us. And that's, how the mainstream media gets away with it, and YouTubers don't, because the mainstream media would usually, well, at least Saturday Night Live, would usually be like, hey, come to the show, come to the program, let the whole world that there is no bad blood between us and that we're all good. Excuse me. So, that's the difference. And I don't think any of those actions in the past, like, really helped. Like, I don't think it really helped, because it's kind of like there would be people who say, I'm going to leave YouTube. And next thing you know, YouTube terminates that person because they have PewDiePie on their channel. They have Philip DeFranco. I mean, for them, it's like, I believe it was some black guy who said that, like, YouTube could purge all of the anti-feminist videos, YouTubers, like, off their platform. And because YouTube is so big and ginormous, because it's a monopoly, it will still do well, and it will still do better than any other platform, because it's a monopoly. That's the reason why, when people get terminated from YouTube and they go to BitChute, they would only have like less than 10% of the audience that they had on YouTube, because the audience, they love them, but they don't love them so much to use a different platform. So the idea that, like, I'm going to leave YouTube is different, and people would empathize with that, just like people were empathizing with you, like looking at Shane's channel and seeing like all of those horrible, terrible comments about yourself. I'm pretty sure that, like, if Curiosity, for the sake of example, were to complain to Francesca Ramsey, and then Francesca Ramsey complains to, like, John Oliver or Susan Wojcicki, and it just somehow managed to find its way on top of YouTube, I'm pretty sure that people would look at a scenario where a group of YouTubers, makes fun of, laughs at, and mocks, a person who's like, hey, I'm just trying to make videos. I'm just trying to have a good time. I'm just trying to have fun. I'm just trying to do my own thing. But, like, I'm getting so much hatred that I have to, block all of the comments because I can't stand looking at it anymore. And it's amazing how you would talk about, like, how you met so many of these people that talk about how it gets to them, but it gets to people, like, in the feminist end too. And I'm not saying this because I am a feminist. I noticed that in the Christian and atheist culture war, where the atheists would get the Christians like bombarded with downvotes just for expressing an opinion, where they could be nice and friendly and they could be like, hey, my name is Jacob and I'm a Christian and I love Christianity and I just want to share the love of God. And the atheist channels were like, you're a Christian and we don't like that. It's a case of misery loves company, you know like atheists, they would really go through something. Atheists would really go through something. And then, they'll just use Christians as a punching bag because they have terrible lives. It's misery, loving company, and spreading the pain around. Like your parents kicked you out the house because you're an atheist. You lost a job because you're an atheist. So atheists stick together on YouTube. And the next thing you know, like a Christian who is nice and friendly gets bombarded with attacks. And when talking to anti-feminists, I have heard their stories about how they got fired from their job or how their girlfriend was a feminist and how they got mistreated. But then, you take it off on a person who didn't do anything to you. I'm not saying that, feminists are innocent and perfect and anti-feminists are evil and horrible. I mean, I've met terrible feminists. I personally think that Christy Winters is a horrible person. And, of course, there are decent anti-feminists, and I would count you amongst them. Like, I would say that Blaire White is a decent person and an anti-feminist. I'm just saying that there has been so much of spreading the pain around, otherizing other people, and not seeing the humanity in other people, and not noticing that, like when a feminist is getting bombarded with negative downvotes and negative comments, that it really negatively affects them. And when you talk to some of those people would turn out to be really nice and friendly and just want to express their ideas. And they just think that it's unfair and it's unjust. They would feel like if you just talked to them and got to know them, that you wouldn't feel so hostile towards them. Anyway, that's has been Renemy Kylis. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Whether you agree or disagree with me, please leave your comments down in the comments section below. Please feel free to leave me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Bye bye.